What can you do if a loved one is bedridden and not always conscious? A loved one can pray here, depending on who the relative is. Let's put it this way, if it's your dad or mom, then of course, that will have the biggest impact. Their prayer will change your energy. And if it's a husband or wife, then the impact is a bit less, especially if it's a karmic partner. And a bit further out, like distant relatives, the influence is even less. But just the same, you can just accept the person. You understand that no one is just lying there for no reason. And I saw my mom was lying there for about 6 months, and I came to a realization, an awakening, and I saw that she had taken on a kind of, let's say, karma, a kind of atonement, a kind of payment, in order to, in such suffering, to transform the karma of the past. So nobody, sweetheart, is just lying there for no reason. A person transforms their karma at a low level, working it out, even when they are not conscious. Sweetheart, if a person has no children, then how and who will work through that person's karma after death? Only at the level, let's say, of your family, someone from your lineage, your people, and humanity, can anyone work through your karma personally. You'll have to be reborn if you haven't worked through it. And nothing just happens for no reason. It never happens that children just don't get born for no reason. There are also very individual reasons for everything. And I thank you for the wonderful broadcast. Please, will there be an attack on Ukraine from Belarus? Thank you. No, there won't. Thank you, dear, that we need to karmically transform if the mother or parents died from a missile strike. First of all, it's about acceptance, and I keep saying that. And I have on my channel how to guide people to the other world, to pray, to feel. You know who. Well, and, of course, parents. Work on yourself. What I told you, if you study hard, they will go very quickly in the next world. We're connected, not just like that, and even after their physical departure. If you start waking up, you have more love, they, on that level, go through transformation faster. So they won't get stuck too much in any lower astral debris. In the rubble of the astral. Good afternoon. Could you please tell me what illusion is and what reality is in our world? How do you tell them apart? What are the characteristics of illusion and reality? Everything is an illusion. Everything is an illusion. Sweethearts, everything you see, the laptop, and you see me, that's also an illusion. The only real thing is light. The Creator's light is everything within us. Everything else is an illusion. Only light. High vibration, objects, eternal, that's eternity. And everything else is temporary, gray, black, illusory. Very simple. All around you, it's all an illusion. It's just when you're not aware. You don't realize this illusion, you believe it's real. And when you're aware, you look at the world through it, through the illusions. You see what you don't see in others. That's all the difference. Yeah, the problem with birth rates and, in particular, infertility. So why is that in terms of karma accumulation and diseases? Could this show that we're not giving birth in order to transform that very karma? The problem with birth rates, it's not just like that. These are also karmic gains. Something about your situation got tangled up wrong. But this is also all individual. And I want to remind you that during the transition, I have already talked about this many times. Now the birth rate has fallen very sharply and will fall even more. Very few will give birth because the transition, humanity ceases. You see, humanity is kind of in a deep sleep right now. There will still be a few births here and there, but humanity is in this state, in the third dimension. Let's say the consciousness of survival, the human-animal instinct, won't be there. So what kind of birth rate can there be? It can't be, because this topic is closing off. That is, maybe a person will be born again and that's it. So there won't be anything like that, this and that. Right now, both the living and the dead are going through a test, if you can say it that way. So, right now, it's a test specifically for all of humanity. Are you going this way or that way? The same question arises even after physical death. Most people will be taking a test after physical death because they won't be able to handle the high vibration that's coming to Earth. So, when it comes to birth, it's safe to say that fewer and fewer children will be born. And I already said that seeing a pregnant woman would be very big, a rarity. And if I've been living with the Eternal since I was 5, then I have those programs activated. Or his dad too. And him. First of all, your dad, and him too. With the Eternal, which reflects the masculine aspect in your universe. And I thank you for the broadcast. Could you please tell me, are injuries or fractures a way for us to realize that we're doing something wrong in life? All injuries, all illnesses, all fractures, they are always a signal of repeating some low actions. So I just shared this live stream with you. And could you please tell me, after leaving the healing, at first we retain the knowledge we gained on Earth? Yes, at first, that's right. But this knowledge transforms. So, it's like how I went through this process. Awakening here on Earth, it's like you. To be honest, awakening, the state of consciousness. Awakening is when you, as a person, die. That's true. Your human personality dies. That's why it hurts so much, because the ego suffers, your head is bowed. So it's like death. It's the death of your ego. The same process happens when we physically depart. But if a person hasn't awakened in this healing, and when they physically depart after leaving the physical body, they go into certain layers just as they are vibrationally. Vibrationally, people are actually very heavy. Ordinary, unawakened. And they sit for many years in various low layers of the astral. Many, many years. There are people who can sit there for 40 years or more in terms of our time. What are they doing there? They realize their actions as a person there and transform them. So, sweethearts, what we do here is exactly what's happening there. You're there, experiencing this, but you're becoming more and more detached from the human personality. But there's one nuance. You detach from that low personality, and if some aspect of you here doesn't awaken on Earth, doesn't become enlightened, then you can't ascend because you still have to be reborn to finish what you didn't complete. But if you're there, when transitioning specifically, because there are different cases, maybe someone will be born again once, and there will be souls who will not be able to be born on Earth because humanity will leave in the form that it is. And so, this will happen on some other planets as well, still in the third dimension, to finish playing this game. Some will do this, and some will do that. Someone who is ready will move on to the Creator after physical death. Those who are already there accept God, and a lighter energy can go through these transformations. Good day, Aya. The more I awaken, the more aggressive my husband becomes, and the more I distance myself from him, the more he gets anxious. How can I possibly get out of this situation? What are you becoming enlightened about? Is it not very clear what you're becoming enlightened about? You're not becoming enlightened by being aggressive. Well, let's start with what? We always like change when our old personality is destroyed. I've talked about this more than once, when the ego breaks down and all our karmic connections with men, with people, because our entire universe is karmic. They're all tied through our mind, through our ego, through these connections that are precisely breaking down. Of course, he wants to see you as you were. What do you want here? It's up to you to decide. It's very individual how you get out of this situation, what's more important to you, what you're ready for, and what your husband is ready for in terms of transformations. Is he ready for changes, first and foremost for your changes, and to be with you. And are you ready to live with a man like that? There are definitely different situations here. I won't give any one-size-fits-all advice because everything is very individual, depending on the level of consciousness. Yes, I work as a doctor. How do I work properly with my patients? I don't know how to work properly with your patients. The most important thing, always, grow in all your work, live with your heart, and feel with your heart. The Creator. Feel with your heart for people. As long as you're working within the matrix, I don't know what to tell you about that. So, everything can be changed. Just like you change the Gregor, this healing energy, it can also transform into something lighter, into a more. Some, famous, more. Advanced energetically. So it all depends on you. Thank you so much. If your mom committed suicide, how do you work through that? Except, and this shows you once again that you really need to work hard on yourself, to awaken. So, work more on yourself, that's all you can say. But everything you transform, everything is possible, it's all from God. Hello, thank you for the amazing interview. To what extent does acupuncture relate to using qi for healing diseases? Can this method be used for healing as a whole? There can't be healing of the soul if a person comes to you and you just poke them and take away their pain. A person has to change. If a person isn't changing, then you can poke them with whatever you want. So this is, you see, my dears, there's a big difference. When a person, so I teach my students that you have the right, especially those who are training to be guides, to work with a person only if they accept God energetically directly, because it just doesn't work otherwise when they accept God and you as their guide. Why? Because then she will start to transform and change on all levels. Because even if you work with her energetically, with needles, crystals, it doesn't matter. If a person doesn't accept the Creator, meaning they don't accept the high vibration that triggers those processes of transformation and healing, then nothing will change. She'll just keep coming to you for life, for those same needles. And that's it. But that won't be transformation. It might just be some temporary improvement and so on. Just think about it right now. Everything on a physical level, it's like, already parodies of what knowledge used to be passed down. Same thing with acupuncture, I'm sure it was. Some kind of thing. Super spiritual monks passed down knowledge that's said to work with the spirit, just like all the martial arts. Eastern. It's not about hitting each other in the face, right? We're all just tapping each other on the shoulders. And the very first thing is the connection with the spirit. You're in a certain state of consciousness, you're aware without thoughts, without aggression, right? The same goes for the needles. And if you just come in, stick some needles in, or just have crystals at home, it won't do anything, it'll just look pretty. Well, with acupuncture, you just convince yourself that something will help you. Temporarily, yeah, maybe, but if you're not changing, then, well, that's it. Yeah, it's like the program works, just like now, you support it, oh, it helps me, and then bam, it doesn't help anymore. And why is that? Because you're fighting against it, that's all. I really want to know, if the job is nerve-wracking, with constant stress and emotional exhaustion, how can I protect myself? Your work is you, it's what you have inside. I'm all set. Work so that you don't have that kind of job.